Nation and what is up, Bleacher Report. It's the Loose Cannons podcast back again on this amazing app to recap, react, and give you guys our winners and losers of the Bucs Ravens third preseason game. First, right off the bat, obviously, Bucs win 26-20. I want to give a shout out before we start to the Crystal River Buccaneers, who pitched a shutout in a Pee Wee football game earlier this afternoon against their crosstown rivals, 18-0. So way to go, Crystal River Buccaneers, and Lil Stank, who is maybe 25 pounds and somehow playing defensive tackle. So great job there. Got that out of the way. Stank, before we even hop in on all this, man, massive news gets dropped during this game.
Yeah.
Massive news. Jason Light comes on the broadcast with Rondé Barber and Chris Myers and kind of gives his assessment of the roster, what he thinks his team's going to do this year, and then drops a bomb on everybody that center Ryan Jensen will be placed on IR and will be out for the rest of the season, which is sad, terrible news. Not a massive shock or surprise, but definitely was not expecting to see that tonight.
Definitely took the wind out of the sails, right? It was kind of feeling good. Bucs came out a little flat. Baker came back. We scored. Trask came in, looked pretty good. And then they announced that Jason Light was going to be joining them at halftime, and he had some news. And it's funny because I tweeted out that it would be a good time to give us an update on the Ryan Jensen situation, and that's exactly what he did. I don't know why, I just had this gut feeling that that's what it was going to be about. Obviously, the season's about to start, and they've been very, very hush-hush about the status of Ryan. Unfortunate, man. I reached out to his dad, Dean, and gave him my condolences. We all know Ryan would love nothing more than to be out there, man. This guy loves football more than anything on the planet, and it's a shame. I really wanted to see Baker Mayfield and Ryan, headbutt each other. I feel like there was going to be some, blood involved, and we're gonna get robbed of that, and we'll see what happens in the future with them.
Yeah, it's not the greatest, but obviously we hope to see him back somehow. I'm not sure if this is career ending, what ends up happening down the road. And I don't say that as a selfish Bucs fan. I say that as a human being. I hope to see him play the game he loves just one more time in whatever capacity for whichever team. It doesn't matter. Obviously, I'd love it for the Bucs, but we don't know what's really going on. There's obviously a reason why he didn't have surgery, so it's kind of hard to sit there and speculate and kind of second guess guys, because you never know that, people say he should have had the surgery. Now he's going to miss, maybe end his career. You don't know if the surgery could have ended his career. So there's a lot of stuff at play. Not going to speculate. Just kind of crappy news. That's all. So
hindsight is 2020. We can all look back. I'm sure he's looking back and maybe second guessing some of his decisions. Maybe not. I don't know. Rondé actually said he took the stem cell approach, which I had kind of guessed that maybe
we all kind of guessed that.
Yeah, that way he didn't, go under the knife and do it the traditional way. And clearly that gamble didn't pay off. And like you said, it could have easily, had the same effect if he went under the knife. So nobody knows. It's all pure speculation. It's a hard pill to swallow. I'm assuming Jason Light's known about this for quite a while. They haven't made any roster moves that I'm aware of to counteract this situation. Maybe they were just holding out until the last minute, but Jason didn't even allude to
this opens up a roster spot. So when he hits IR, there's going to be some cuts here in the next few days. So maybe there's a guy that they can pick up that they're confident enough to bring in as a backup or a swing guard/center, someone they can bring in and kind of just throw into the mix as a backup contingency type of plan. Yeah. But I think they're pretty confident in Hainsey, who played or not played, but practiced all offseason with AQ Shipley in Arizona as the center. And he also did a lot extensive work with him as a guard. So I think they're confident. We saw them play tonight with Hainsey in front as the center, with Baker, with the ones other than Mike Evans. But they look good, man. And if we're going to talk winners or losers, I mean, got to start off with, I think, the highlight of the night, which was just that ridiculous touchdown to Chris Godwin. I thought it was an awesome play. What made this so fun to watch was it felt so fast, didn't it, Stank? It felt so different. It felt like we had just a younger, fresh offense, and the sequencing of plays was beautiful. It was just put together really, really well, and it was impressive. And the throw was, again, great route, great execution, great throw, awesome touchdown.
I think it was J.C. Cornell who tweeted that Baker was like 15 to 14, 2 touchdowns in the preseason. He looked good. He looked good as a guy who was been a Trask, pushing for Trask if you QB1. There's no denying Baker looks good, looks confident, stood in there confidently. That is the highlight of the game. But for me, the highlight of the game is how well the offensive line played. I think, we're up against the Ravens too, but still, they went out there. They looked better tonight than they've looked all preseason. Rachaad White got in there and got some carries, had a couple of really, really nice runs. Matt Filer, our first real sighting of him, and Tristan out there playing on that left side. And they look like they're going to be a force to reckon with. And you really can't judge Hainsey, on the last 2 games because it's been musical chairs around him, and it's a unit. So those guys have been practicing together all preseason on the practice field. We're just getting to finally kind of see what it looks like for the first time.
Yeah, one of my winners for the night, like you're saying, offensive line. It was one of the things I circled before the game. What I have to see tonight, I want to see them be able to pass protect. And I want to see them be able to create holes in the run game and create push. Last year, it wasn't necessarily just not making holes. We had no push. It was like we weren't even trying. Tonight, holes were created. They had really good push. I think they carried Rachaad White to a first down on one play, which is kind of illegal, but not illegal, I guess now. It's a little bit of a gray area. It's an point of emphasis for the referees, but they looked good. I mean, there wasn't a penalty by the starting offensive unit. There wasn't any holding penalties. The line didn't look like they got overwhelmed at any moment. I know it's the preseason, but they looked very comfortable. Baker looked comfortable. So one of my winners absolutely tonight, I agree, the entire offensive line. And you could probably agree with my other winner of the night, Dave Canales, or as we call him, Dave Cajones. I mean, what a breath of fresh air that guy is right now with the sequencing, the play calling, the speed, and then layered in with all the talent that's young and fast, and everything just looked like butter. Did it not? When was the last time we've seen it look so buttery?
It looks buttery. It does look buttery. It's something that's, I think, not brought up enough is Dave's attitude. That guy is it's just hard to be negative around that guy. It's hard to not like him. If you watch his press conferences, if you've had the opportunity to meet him in person, if you listen to how other guys talk about him, he brings that excitement, that enthusiasm. It got a little stale here last year. We had Tom in the house, old Tom. You know how old people get, right? Old people, they're just they don't like ornery. They don't like to try new things. They have really, really early bedtimes. They eat the same thing every single day. Yeah. That pretty much just describes Tom Brady, and what a miserable person to be around. I for one, glad he's gone. It's time to get back to the way it's always been here in Tampa, where we just don't know what we're going to get. I'm coming excited for that. Yeah.
And I forgot to mention at the top of the show, on Twitter, we have a lot of fun. If you know anything about us, the Loose Cannons, myself, Stank Bastard, and Poppy Latte, of course, our third brother, our co-host as well. And this past week, I dropped a Derrick Brooks Creamsicle stitched signed jersey that I was going to give away if you retweeted with the hashtag LC giveaway 55. And I said I was going to release it tonight on the show, and I absolutely will. I did not forget. I forgot to mention it. But just as a sweet little reminder, go ahead, and if you guys enjoy this stream tonight, go ahead and show us some love on YouTube. Give us a like, hit the subscribe button, and find out all the other stuff that we're going to have going on this year. And, of course, this week after that game, it's simple. It's at the bottom of the screen, youtube.com/Loose Cannons podcast. Check it out. All right.
Sam, wait, before you move on, you're getting a lot of compliments in the chat for some reason.
I'm not
people love the way you look tonight. They love that hat, which I hate you for. They say your beard looks distinguished. Not one person has complimented me so far, but I get it. I'm intimidating, and I'm not for everybody.
I think you're the old man of the pod now at this point, right? You're starting to look more feeble than usual. You're huddled over.
Without the beautiful camera, I'm kind of looking washed.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely look like there might be something going on health wise, but I don't want to speculate. Is your podcast career possibly over? We don't know.
It could be. Like I said, I'm elderly as well, and I've been circling the drain for a long time. Lightning struck my house and blew up my entire setup. And I think that's God's way of telling me.
You're an old man. That's an old man story. That's an old man story. You don't just hang out at a bar and hear 21, 22-year-old go, hey, my house got struck by. No, that's an old. Who you kind of remind me of? The old man from that movie Up. When his house gets picked up by the balloons with the hot. I don't know how the story goes, but I remember that there's an old man that's very sad.
There's an old man, and I expect that when I float away, my house floats away with balloons attached to it, that you guys will cry too, just like I did when I watched Up. Last week we were on together, and we had a lot of good feedback. People love us. There was even somebody in the chat on the BR app that said, who are these idiots and why are we watching them? And I just want to say to you, buddy, I love you, man. I really do.
Love it. Yeah.
Welcome.
We love the haters more than we love the actual people who support us, because either way, someone's got to motivate us, right? All this love. I'm a very humble person. I like to hear people take shots at me and jabs. So that's really how, again, humble. Yeah. It's very, very tough, right? It says the screen, best at being humble. Stank, we gotta name some losers tonight. And it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to name losers because I really didn't think anybody made some, didn't look good out there tonight. I wasn't really happy with Izzy getting the start as a third corner because Antoine didn't start. So they kind of moved Delaney. Delaney came out there. I guess he was the guy leading the pack, but then you kind of start Izzy. So kind of a good situation as a coach. You get to start one guy in safety, see how he plays, even though you probably have an idea who's going to be your nickel corner. And then you get to start the other guy and see how he does against top competition. And he didn't play very well that first series. He rebounded. He ended up causing the fumble like you're talking about. So I don't want to call him a loser of the night. Initially, I circled his name, but then after that, I was like, he bounced back. He's a young player. The loser of the night, the Bucs offensive line, because they won't get to play with Ryan Jensen this year. That's my only takeaway for that side of things.
Bucs fans are the losers of the night. We lost the guy. Like you said, you want to speculate, but it doesn't look like there's a good chance we may never see him again. So we all lost. But if I had to pick out a player, because that's just what we do here, okay? Mm-hmm. This isn't the tight cannons. This is the loose cannons. If I have to pick out a player, it's Keyshawn Vaughn. Still didn't impress me. I don't think he's really looked impressive at all this offseason. I know that Dave Canales likes him. They seem to talk this guy up constantly, but it just doesn't ever look good. I don't know.
Well, he's not RB2, that's for sure. Neither is Tucker, who looked like he just had a cramp, so he should be good to go. But they said that Canales, they love Chase. That's the guy. That's RB2. He does a lot of the same things that Rachaad does well, which is catch the ball, pass protection in the backfield, runs the ball well, sees everything very, very well. So they have kind of a two-headed attack, for lack of a better word, I guess. But I can still see that Rachaad's going to get the lion's share of the loads. And speaking of which, Rachaad looked massive tonight. We've hung out with him a couple times, and he looks bigger than a regular running back. But I don't remember him looking that much bigger than the guys that were trying to tackle him last year. He just looks bigger. He looks stronger. Not Derrick Henry big, but kind of like reminded me like he was playing with children almost. It was fun to watch, and he was getting. He averaged over 5 yards a carry, powerful runs, speed. He showed a cool little spin move. and they got him out there as quickly as possible. You could tell that he fits really well in the scheme.
Yeah, I think he heard. He's heard all the talk. He's heard all. I even brought up Sean Tucker last week. I think he's tired. People doubting him and wanting us to bring in, other backs or draft backs. He just looks like he's ready to rumble this year, man. And he's going to surprise a whole lot of people. Make sure you draft that guy because Dave Canales likes to run the football. And I think we are going to be running the football quite a bit. And he's going to get quite a few carries.
But when we say we're going to run the ball, it's not a Tony Dungy type of first down run, second down run, maybe pass on third down type of this. You could see it tonight. They're going to run it effectively. They're going to make sure that they don't abandon the run, but they're going to use the run to their advantage. Do you see how many play action passes they ran tonight? How many fake inside handoffs, how many fake draws they ran, almost a little bit of RPO action. Even with Trask in there, they ran an RPO type of thing where even Trask would hand it off and just kind of boot out to make it seem like he was going to keep the ball. And there's going to be times, I guarantee you, where one of them's going to keep it. Whether it's Baker or Trask in, they're going to keep the ball at some point. So it's fun offense to see. That's why I thought Canales was the winner tonight by far. but you could tell from the way he runs, and then also from our conversations with him, Rachaad has a board somewhere in his house where he's got clippings that he just snips out, sticks them on there. He tapes things on the wall. He has it memorized what Doug Martin did the last time the Bucs running back actually hit 1,000 yards for this team. And he remembers the stats. He remembers the yards per carry. He remembers the actual yardage. Yep. This kid is motivated. And the more you like poo-poo on him, the more he continues to motivate himself. Like he feeds on that. It's awesome because him and Baker are very similar in that regard.
You know how you always hear players and they're like, I don't read the clippings. I don't pay attention. This guy does. He reads the clippings. He pays attention. He's a football guy. Like he's a football fan. He knows football history. He's, he is very tuned in to everything going on around him. Extremely mature for his age, and we got the opportunity to do some pretty cool stuff and hang out with him a little bit. And I've just been overly impressed with the guy. He's young. The moment's not too big for him, and I think he's one of those guys. We've lost a lot of veteran leadership on this team, right? The old guard is gone. He's one of those guys that can be one of the new Buck leaders. I really believe that. I believe that he can be one of the faces of this team eventually. And he's got to prove it on the field. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to do all those things that like Mike Evans has done, and build himself a legacy here. But I really believe that he's built that way. I really do.
I don't think he's a verbal leader. I agree. Good comparison with Mike. Mike's not a very vocal type of guy as a leader, but neither would Derrick Brooks, right? But when he spoke, everyone listened. Everyone's hushed down and this guy doesn't usually talk, so we need to pay attention now. And so I can see Rachaad being that guy that kind of leads by example. If you're going to look at Rachaad, he's always going to be working hard. He's going to work his tail off regardless of what position he's in, backup, starter, does not matter. He's always going to work, and that's kind of what Mike does. And that's a good lead by example. Levante David, same way. Doesn't really talk all that much. But then you do have guys like Devin who are going to speak, and you have guys, I think Chris Godwin speaks more than people realize in the locker room as well. So, and of course you got Baker. Baker's going to lead. I don't know if he's a rah-rah guy, but he's kind of in the middle there. I think he's
definitely a rah-rah guy.
But he's toned it down from what I've heard. But he's definitely let's go. I mean, when you see when he throws a touchdown, it's like he just won the game in Oklahoma again. It's awesome. It's refreshing. It's fun to see. And listen, Dave Canales mixed in there. That guy's got crazy energy too. We talked about. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch this team play off. Whether they win a million games or not, it's gonna be fun to watch them on offense this year, in my opinion.
They only have to win 2, and I'll be good. There's just 2 games, only 2 games I want them to win. And the other ones, we'll see what happens. Speaking of showing emotion, how about Kyle Trask? This guy was laser focused today and very emotional out there. Did you see him run for the first down, get up, do his look like Tim Tebow for a second?
I don't like some of the body language when he comes off the field after a missed throw or a bad play, and they're kind of you could see Canales try to coach him up, and he kind of it feels like he's on himself a bit too much. Like he's too.
No, I don't think he's on himself at all. I think it's the complete opposite. He is frustrated with playing with the second and third and fourth string guys and them not doing their jobs and not running the right routes and frustrated themselves. Listen, he played with crotchety old Henry Tom, who always looked pissed coming off the field. If it wasn't a touchdown, he was mad at himself or mad at somebody else. And I think he's taken on a little bit of that. And physically, he looks and moves a little bit like Tom.
More athletic Tom, for sure. More athletic Tom. But listen, we've talked all offseason about him versus Baker, and I wanted to be clear that, even though he didn't win the job, I was still impressed with what he did. He still showed me things that I didn't think he could do. He stepped up to the challenge of the position, and a lot of the stuff that he does not, exceptionally well or he struggles with is just stuff that's experience related. It's just at some point, you just can't get better at things unless you've got preseason reps. You've got some time in the game. I don't expect he'll play this year. Who knows what will happen down the road? You think he will. I don't. But a lot of the stuff he does well and a lot of stuff he doesn't do well, it's just, experience is kind of in there. So that's not his fault. So I've never taken that against him or held it against him. But you could see, man, I can't have 2 or 3 Trent Dilfer type throws in a game. And I can understand why Todd Bowles said, we're going to go with the guy with the experience and see what happens throughout the season, how it plays out, how guys look in practice. If Trask looks amazing at some point, and you're like, we just can't watch him in practice and just ignore him at this point. We have to give him a shot. And if Baker's kind of, mediocre at that point, I can understand what, the change. But right now they went with that experience because they saw those Trent Dilfer throws probably in practice or a little too many times.
We've talked a lot about the offense. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. Clearly, they came out flat. They looked like they didn't want to be there, weren't ready to be there. I'm talking about
Izzian,
right?
Yeah.
Well, Izzian, okay, but it was weird to see Vita Vea without hair. I know he still has that little ponytail that he had.
You can't find him. You can't tell who's who because you're used to that massive thing of hair. It made him look like he was 100 pounds bigger, right?
I was about to say, who's that enormously fat guy out there? He just looks,
It's gonna take some getting used to, man.
Yeah, it's like the you know what? I forgot. I can't say. He just looked plus size out there. That's all I'll say.
I didn't like
Loose Cannons for the unedited version.
I need him to grow his hair back. I can't tell who he is on the field. But how about a JTS sighting, bro?
I was just about to say, you took the words out of my mouth. How about the JTS sighting? It's about time. It's about time, and they're playing against the Ravens scrubs, but it was still nice to see JTS actually finish plays because he's always around the ball. He just never seems to finish plays, and he nearly had a sack and got outran a little bit by Josh Johnson, but tripped him up at the end. It was nice.
But then he got him on the very next. He got him on the very next play. So two pressure. He had a near sack, and it ended up being a sack on the second. I remember the last time he's ever had back-to-back plays like that outside of that New England Patriots game. Really.
Hey, Shaq Barrett looked quick. I saw him, out there just getting loose, which is a really, really, really good sign. I'm extremely happy, after everything he went through last season and the tragedy this offseason, to come back and be on the field playing preseason games. Like, they don't have to play that guy. He could have sat out this week.
I think
he wanted I think he wanted to be out there. He really wanted to be out there. He could have, Levante took the day off. He could have easily said, I want the day off, and he didn't. So it was good to see him out there, man. That's it. Preseason's over. It's over. We get to focus on
real
the
games.
Stupid Minnesota Vikings now. That's what we get to focus on as Bucs fans.
Yeah, and Pelagic Computer it says everyone's saying that defense is top 5 to 8. I don't see it. It's hard to judge them in the preseason where they're not going to show all their blitzes and their exotic looks, and they're not going to run anything outside of a vanilla defensive scheme. But I think that they added enough speed. They've gotten younger in spots that they needed to get younger in, and they have two top 12 corners, guys that got paid handsomely for a reason. Whether they get interceptions or don't, they play very well, and hopefully they play together more than they do, alternating with injuries and whatnot like they have the last couple of years. But I could see this defense being a very good defense. You saw it, Stank. They look fast. They're running around out there. You got guys who can come off the bench now in Yaya and Servassier and number 58, whose name I can't remember. And you got J.J. Russell out there who played really well again tonight. Reminds me of Mason Foster for some reason, maybe because of the dreads. But these guys are fast, and they look hungry, and they don't look like we're an old, slow team anymore. And that's not even to mention the guys that we have like Antoine and that safety that we got. And,
it's hard to project what we're going to be because it's all going to come down to the pass rush. And, we don't know what Kalijah Kancey is yet. We haven't seen him and Vita Vea lined up next to each other. Logan Hall hasn't really flashed, but you don't know what he's going to look like until he's, in that group. Similarly to how Hainsey hasn't looked, great, but when you're surrounded by the other guys, the other studs, and the focus isn't on you with a Logan Hall, and you see him, maybe gain some confidence and have a couple good games under his belt. You see Kalijah Kancey come in there, who is a problem. He's a problem. I went back this week because I was just excited to kind of see, what he can bring to the table since the word is he's going to be available week 1. He is a huge problem. Like, you cannot replicate the kind of speed that he brings, the pass rush ability from the interior, which is a absolute, a huge advantage because most teams can't bring that option to the table.
And you can't double Vita the entire game if this guy starts killing you. You're going to eventually have to give him attention. Yeah. And going back to the Logan Hall point, I think people are a little bit unfair with Logan Hall. Logan Hall is supposed to basically be Will Golston 2.0.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to be. That's what they want him to be. He's not supposed to be Warren Sapp. He's not going to be even Gerald McCoy. He's not going to be Ndamukong Suh. He's not going to be any of these guys that are basically putting their heads down, getting after. Their job is very, very different. And there's a reason they also brought Will Golston back as late as they did. They probably let him have an extended vacation and said, we need you to come back in here, whether it's to mentor this guy or to push him or just to have a contingency plan if he just doesn't, pan out throughout the season. But again, I don't see him getting blown off blocks. I don't see him getting blown away and creating giant gaps for the running back. I just haven't seen him make tackles. So it's kind of like in the middle. Will he get better when Cansey's in there and they're going full on and they're running interior blitzes with the linebackers and Levante and Devin are behind him? Who knows? But I'm not going to write this kid off this quickly into a season, considering he's not supposed to be what people keep thinking he's supposed to be.
No, I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach with him, honestly. And William Golston looked great out there tonight. Obviously, he's dominating against,
second and third guys. Yeah.
Second is the third team guys, but it's still a good sign to see that Williams still got it out there. Like he's still out there just working people. So we still have options there. And he's a young guy who's just like, he was off an entire year before we drafted him. I think he's figuring it out. And Todd Bowles' defense isn't the easiest defense to learn, but Todd has spoken highly of him. And he's in a position where you don't get a whole lot of flash, and they're just rotating guys constantly in the preseason in there. So let's just take a little bit of a deep breath. I know it was not encouraging to see Josh Johnson and whoever those guys were he was thrown to out there just march down the field against our ones, even though Winfield wasn't in there and Levante David wasn't in there. Yeah. So, I panic too, but that's just what I do.
I mean, PTSD. I need my team to have some form of first team reps, something tackling. I mean, that's always something that they don't work on like they did back in the day. The speed of the game, kind of getting adjusted, and they looked fast. They bounced back after that really, really bad opening segment of plays. And again, a lot of that was two massive throws that were just wide open because of Izzian playing what I think ends up not being his position. So D. Delaney, as far as we know, has won that nickel cornerback slot. Trey Palmer looks every bit wide receiver 3. Devin Tompkins is definitely wide receiver 4. They're probably going to play them kind of the same.
Is he though?
So. I don't
know,
so, man.
Rakim for all y'all hip hop fans. Rakim Jarrett. I like that he wants to.
I know, but he need to do more than just one game though.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't be surprised if he is wide receiver 4. And I mean, they're both going to make the team. And then, Tompkins is more of a gadget guy, return guy, does different things. But,
you're going to need don't be shocked. You're going to need all three of them to play. I don't think any one of them is going to play the lion's share between those 3 spots, honestly. But you have 3 young guys with speed, can catch the ball, can bring dynamic plays to the offense. And you have 2 of them that are punt/kick returners. We saw Trey Palmer return a punt, which somehow didn't have a flag. He looked like he had 1 cut. He was gone, which is really, really great for a punt returner. And then you've seen Devin Tompkins do it multiple times in the preseason. We saw him do it last year. So finally some speed on specials that matter, right? And hopefully no penalties to go with it. So again, back to what we were talking earlier, younger, faster, just a more rejuvenated form of offense across the board, which is why the majority of the people have voted on our poll. Who was your winner of the night? 58% Dave Canales, 32% Baker Mayfield, and 11% Bucs offensive line. Listen, my book, all 3 of them were winners tonight. I was impressed, man. I was happy with what I saw, Stank, and I'm ready for Minnesota, man. I'm ready for Minnesota.
I'm sick of the preseason. I didn't even go to the game tonight. That's how sick of the preseason I am. And normally I attend every preseason game. It sits at the end, but I am that ready for this season to start, and I want to see what we're about. And it's going to start off with a bang because we play some big teams, and we're gonna get to see really, really quick where we are.
Buck Nasty says, "How did Yaya look? Did he end up playing? He did end up playing. He looks fast. He looks big. Yep. He looks strong. I'm very impressed with him in that he'll rush the passer, and on a pass that's completed down the field, he's also somehow one of the first guys to make the tackle, even though he was in the backfield rushing the passer. So it's I don't know how I remember seeing Warren Sapp do that a lot. Warren Sapp ended up nearly ending Jerry Rice's career. He definitely ended his career as a 49er when he somehow ends up making a tackle on Jerry Rice after already taking out Steve Young earlier in the game, which end up being the first game they ever played in red and pewter, by the way, not in San Francisco, in Tampa Bay. And that was the beginning of the 5-0 run with Tony Dungy and the final, making the playoffs and going against, Barry Sanders, the last game at Houlihan Stadium, yada, yada. You know the story.
That just shows good coaching, right? OG Bucs fans will remember Monty Kiffin's cry was always 11 to the ball. You never stop running until the whistle blows. I don't care if you feel like you're out of the play or not.
Turn around and go.
Yeah, he is really quick. He is really, really long and powerful. Man, the sky's a limit for this guy. If he can stay healthy and like get a gas tank, I think that maybe if there is a criticism, he kind of looks winded after a lot of his plays, but he's running around out there with like a chicken without a head.
I think it's one of those things where you got to learn to control when you go 100 and when you go 95 or 90% maybe. But he reminds me a lot of JPP in terms of his like just his length kind of. But I think JPP would be a great guy to teach him some things, right? Be a great guy to kind of take him under his wing if he was still here, if he offered him, some sort of olive branch or something of that nature. He said, hey, let me, give you. That's someone you definitely go up to Vita and go, hey, can I get JPP's phone number? I need to text him and ask him some things. And that's a guy you pick his brain. But there was a play, Stank, when he just basically goes right up against the tackle and just pushes him, just a bull rush. It almost gets a sack by just pushing the guy into the quarterback. Yeah. And it was not like a 3, 4, 5 second. It was like 2 seconds. Guy's almost in the quarterback. And I was like, holy crap. When this kid understands how to pass rush and how to layer his moves and how to use his body and how to use leverage and how to understand the speed of the game, we got a beast. Opposite of JTS or opposite of somebody else, we don't know. But he's definitely going to be in the rotation this year. This is awesome.
Can I just say the chat is live? Buck Nasty, El Jefe, like Dylan, Pelagic Computer. I love all you guys. If for those who are just discovering us for the first time, we are the Loose Cannons. Find us on YouTube. You can see the raw, real, uncut version of the show. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Where we just honestly are just absolute morons and idiots on there, just complete shenanigans the entire season. It's fun. We're here. We're entertainers. We're online male entertainers. That's what me and Mr. Ali are.
Speaking of shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
It's time. It's time to announce. So right at halftime, I ran the randomizer. All the entries are in. Everybody who had properly followed the rules
right now, bro,
with the hashtags, with the following of all of our usernames, and of course, subscribing to the YouTube channel. And the winner ended up being, and I have a screenshot.
Do you have a drum roll?
I have a screenshot of it. End up being, I believe, if you can read that, Stank, it's small on my side of the screen.
Okay, bro, I'm old. Tampa Fan 11?
Tampa Fan 11. You are the winner of the Derrick Brooks signed, sewn, stitched, whatever you want to call it, jersey.
Can you throw a picture of the jersey up on here? Can we see this?
I'm trying to find it. I don't think I can get it fast enough, actually. But it's a creamsicle. It's signed by Derrick Brooks. It's got all of his accolades stitched at the bottom. This thing is beautiful. It's Beckett certified. Really cool. This is a real deal. So send us
congratulations,
a DM.
Man.
Congratulations.
We'll find you as well. I'm sure we can find your on Twitter, or find you on socials. Or if anybody knows who this individual is, let them know that they won. It's a sick jersey. I can see that in anybody's man cave, framed with a light on it. It's Mr. Derrick Brooks. It's Mr. Buccaneer, bro. Yeah. It's a stitched jersey. This is not, this is amazing. So congratulations to whoever got this. Stay tuned because we're going to be giving away merch all year long. And the only thing you have to do is like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. You're going to get all the information for all the giveaways. We gave away tickets tonight. I gave away a pair. Sammer gave away some seats. We're constantly giving stuff away, and we have a lot of people who are constantly following us, who are giving away tickets too. We just end up sharing the love with everybody. So make sure to stay tuned.
All right. Well, we gave our winners and losers of the game. Final preseason game of the season. Stanker, no more. When it came out with no injuries, the Ryan Jensen news was terrible to hear. A little bit
terrible.
Unshocking, if that's a word, not very much of a surprise, but I feel like we're prepared. This team looks like they're motivated. They have chips on their shoulders where it matters most.
Yeah.
And Dave Canales is going to make this a fun offense. And this offense looks like it's got some cojones.
It does, man. We kind of have a little young, scrappy vibe to us. You know, Baker just has that.
I like it.
You know, that, you know, urge to prove it. And I think a lot of these Bucs players, you know, are kind of sick of, you know, being in the background. And so we'll see if
that's a dangerous team, a team that's been written off.
We'll see if let's illustrate. We said we're going to win 2 games. We'll see if they're right.
Yeah, I don't agree. So I hope you guys have fun. And we're going to be here all season long in the Bleacher Report app. So that's a massive announcement on our part. It's super awesome. We're super excited. You're going to see our beautiful faces as well as lattes. We're going to have 3 box options soon in this app. Anytime you log in, you scroll through this Bleacher Report timeline. And by the way, guys, they have a massive update to this app coming very, very soon that's going to flip things around and make this the best sports app on your phone. Yeah, I said it. Take that 4-letter network. Hey, see you guys on Twitter. See you guys on YouTube later this week. And as always, the Bucs.
Coming, acting hungry, getting worked by chance. And chef until the whistle boy served